All right, we're here to share the top 20 learnings that we've uncovered over the last 5-6 months of full-time RV living.
We hope this either helps someone or someone can relate to it. We've learned from our experiences. So if we can give that to someone else, just like slow down, you will have these moments of extreme happiness, gratefulness, mindfulness. You become part mechanic. It can be super invigorating. Like as soon as we started RVing, we became obsessed with it, but there's points of exhaustion in it. And when we were going through all the motions of switching our trailer and then changing our tow vehicle, honestly, the biggest hindrance in what our options were was payload capacity.
You might already get annoyed with each other at home, but it's probably not going to stop on the road.
Find what works for you. Not everyone follows the 222 rule. He has a different size tank, mail, and packages. Don't forget about this. Don't skip on this. Can be RVing, but you have to manage your finances appropriately. So it's a lot of learning for electrical and managing your power, but it's all doable. It's going to feel messy at first. It takes time to get organized, and mold accumulation is a fear you can have. There is going to be days where things don't work out.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So number one is the first 3 months is kind of a hump. It is a lot of change. There's some learning curve to everything. Maybe you had a bad experience with a RV dealer and buying your RV. Maybe you switch your RV. Maybe you're figuring out all the nuances to full-time RVing, going from a sedentary, not changing up your environment, to switching spots every week. It can be super invigorating. Like as soon as we started RVing, we became obsessed with it, but there's points of exhaustion in it too, and anxiety and unknowns and figuring things out. And yeah, like what do we experience?
I think for me personally, how exciting RVing is, we always wanted to go somewhere new. And something I don't think Lynn's really picked up on right away was how tiring it can be driving a lot. As the one that drives everywhere all the time, it gets pretty tiring. And I think one of the previous things we mentioned in this video, or something we're going to mention in this video, is now we try to break it up over a couple days, do 4 hours max, 5 hours if we have to, but the 8 to 10 hour days back to back is extremely tough. So as exciting as it is to go somewhere new, experience a new place, you just got to remember to slow down. You're going to want to do everything right away, but if you're dedicating yourself to full-time RV living, you're going to have plenty of time to hopefully go to all the places that you want. So slow is pro.
Yeah, definitely that. And like for us, we had to figure out different tow vehicles, learn about payload, towing, change our RV, Airbnb our house, get rid of a lot of our stuff, figure out mail, figure out all these things. And so definitely after 3 months, we got a little tired, but luckily we got things ironed out and we've learned from our experiences. So if we can give that to someone else, just like slow down for the beginning, and things take time, and the first 3 months are going to feel all the range of emotions you're going to go through. So it's worth it to get through those 3 months. And on the other side is you figure out your routine, you figure out your schedule, and you figure out what makes RVing awesome to you. So number 2 is the reward of the road. And what I mean by that is you will, of course, have moments similar to what we mentioned in the first 3-month hump of anxiety, chaos, and all of that. But then you will have these moments of extreme happiness, gratefulness, mindfulness that you worked to get to a place. And your reward that you've given yourself is your lifestyle, your freedom, beautiful views and places, experiences that you never would have experienced before. And it will feel so rewarding to know that you worked so hard to get there. You made it all happen. Of course, you made sacrifices, or maybe things didn't go as planned, but you worked so hard to get there. That is the reward of the road and the freedom and the feelings that it gives you. So for us or other remote workers, I think we get into these motions of life and get so sedentary or so focused on work, which in some cases we might be passionate about our work or feel a need to fulfill something. So that is all fine and good. Dan and I personally were in startup companies feeling extremely burnt out, and we weren't doing the things we loved. And we took a step back, looked at each other, and we were like, this is not it. And so we figured out how to work remotely and live on the road, and we are so glad we did that. And for those that are also watching that maybe are retired or planning to retire, I can't wait for you, or I'm so excited for you to experience all those feelings of working so hard for so many years to work up to this point, to see all these amazing places, or maybe go be closer to family. I'm so excited for you. But basically, the reward of life on the road, you get to make your own life customizable to where you are, to what you see, to what you do. And that is really one of the best parts and such a powerful moment that Dan and I have both experienced, as well as talking to other people on the road, they have too. So number 2 is the reward of the road, and it's amazing. So not all reality checks are bad ones. So number 2 is a good one.
All right. Number 3, RVing is a lifestyle, not an endless vacation. And what we mean by that is there's going to be so many amazing places that you're going to go and visit where you're going to want to do everything that you typically would if you were a tourist in the place. The first few months that we were RVing, that was us. We wanted to do absolutely everything. And we were doing absolutely everything. And then we'd kind of sit back and say, wow, we've been on vacation for 3 months. So I think understanding that you're going to travel to a lot of amazing places, and you can certainly do a ton of things around the town, go hiking, go for great drives, go to the great restaurants. But I think I would just try to say, don't do it every single day, where you might find yourself getting burnt out.
So that's a big part of it. So not only can you get fatigued, because you totally can. I've felt that and had anxiety about not doing all the things or missing something. And we've definitely felt that way, or I've felt that way. We'll leave a place and be like, oh, we didn't do this. You can always go back. And every time you go to a place, there's always going to be something new to see. Like, for example, we are back in Durango, and we haven't repeated really any of the activities that we did the last time we were here.
Except for the hot springs, which are across the street, because those are just amazing and a great way to wind down, decompress, feel good after a hike. But besides that, no, we haven't done, I don't think we've repeated anything except for Steamworks Brewery.
Yeah. So you can always go back to things. And so, again, it's a lifestyle, not a vacation. It can feel like a vacation, which is part of the appeal to it, but you should also create balance in your life. Have days where you do chores, have days where you have a lazy day and just watch some shows, or days where you just snuggle with your dog, or days when you have to like fix up the RV if you ever need to do that. So, you got to mix those in.
We like to do is get done working. We'll go for a hike. We might go for a drive, go get our groceries, come back and just hang out with the pups. We've been binge watching Peaky Blinders. So getting into TV shows, and we love YouTube too. Obviously, Lynn's creating a lot of content, and then watching other RVers to get great ideas that they have from their experience.
Yeah. Loving the community. Number 4, budget.
Budget.
Yeah. Money saving aspect of living can be RVing, but you have to manage your finances appropriately to do so, to make it that way.
Don't treat it like a vacation.
Yes. They kind of overlap. So don't always make sure you have a budget for the fun. Make sure you understand your finances. For us, we're Airbnb-ing our house, so understanding our finances on the Airbnb side and what we need to cover our expenses for the home is really important to make sure that is actually feasible for to cover those costs so we can just focus on paying for the RV costs. But make sure that you're kind of communicating that with each other and discussing it. I know we've fallen kind of in that same, maybe that's part of our 3-month hump, was falling into this illusion of spending and being on vacation and all of that. But then it started to make us think, is this really saving us money? But it can, like if we're smart about it and we discuss things and figure out other things to sacrifice and not always do the expensive fun thing. Like we like to ATV, but it's not always feasible to pay for ATVing in every location. Or we like to shop. I like to shop, but it's also a space. Like it's not feasible to buy clothes or cool sweatshirts or cups everywhere.
This number is something Lindsay's working on.
We're working on it together because we got to communicate about it. So, yeah, we're still a work in progress, but what we wanted to communicate is that budgeting is really important, and it can be less expensive to RV versus renting or a mortgage, but you have to be smart and conscious about it.
Where you might find yourself digging yourself a little bit of a hole, especially if you still do have your mortgage or your rent in your home base.
But you have to be smart and conscious about it. So.
While still seeing all the amazing places.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Home on wheels, for sure. Yeah. Number 5, you'll get annoyed at each other.
What's number 5?
That's the number.
Huh?
That's the number of the item. I have 1 through 20.
You'll get annoyed with each other?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Number 5, you're going to get annoyed with each other. You might already get annoyed with each other at home, but it's probably not going to stop on the road. There's a lot of things that I think just involve a lot of teamwork. One of the ones when you might feel under pressure of you're at a new camp spot, you show up at between 3 and 6 o'clock, people are already there, they're outside, they're right next to you. You have 12 feet to work with to back in. The communication with your partner is extremely important. One thing that's worked pretty well for Linz and I is she'll call me while I'm in the truck and give me directions on what I should do. We found that you have to be very clear with your directions. If you have a backup cam, use your hand signals. Things could get loud, barking dogs, anything that could potentially work you up a little bit while you're trying to focus and get perfectly straight in a spot.
No, you're not. I see your tire. You're good. Keep going. Okay, now you can pull forward and go to the right towards passenger. Well, I don't know how to get it. Like right now the slide could work. We could just leave it there. The slide would come out here. I say we just do that. There's plenty of room in the back. No, because the slide is past the tree. It's behind it. If you pull forward, it'll be right next to it.
And then I would say,
I think on that too, like directionality, just like what we found and probably also what we learned from other YouTubers and RVers is not stating like left or right. You state it needs to turn towards driver's side or passenger side, and trying to stay as calm as possible. You're going to get annoyed, but at the end of the day, that's probably the most stressful part because you have your home and you can hit things and people are watching you, but you got to focus on what you're doing, and everyone's been through it, and we've seen other people fight. We've fought. We hear it all the time. So it's just part of it. You're going to fight. It's a small space. You can have any size of RV you want, but at the end of the day, it's still a small space. So
I think that the Airstream was significantly worse for trying to figure out this space situation and weaseling by each other and both being in the kitchen at the same time, or trying to go to the bathroom while someone's in the kitchen. But with the Brinkley, it's a lot more spacious. We can actually move around. It's almost like the apartment we had in Boston many years ago. It's literally almost the same size. So I think we do a pretty good job with it. I like that in the kitchen area, there's room to move around.
Yeah.
So
Definitely like make sure you pick the unit that works for your lifestyle and just communicate. And the best part too about RVing is if there's frustration, you can just go for a hike or go outside. But there's going to be frustration and you just got to find your way to work through it, talk through it, and have your ways to kind of cope with living in a small space. But yeah, so number 5, you will fight. You'll get annoyed. It happens. Create, set up, and take down lists. Align with your partner, your friend, whoever you travel with on roles and responsibilities. And then I recommend at the end of that, flipping. So to do your check afterwards that everything's done and you're ready to actually hit the road, flip tasks. So like, for example, I'll start on the inside and get all that packed away. And then I'll start on the water and electrical. Dan will start on the outside, like putting all of our outside gear away, organizing the pass through, putting away the dump station supplies and sewer supplies, getting ready to hitch up and all of that, getting gas for the car so we don't have to do it when we're attached to the RV. And then we switch. So Dan will go inside, he'll check my things, I'll go outside, I'll check his things. And then we have 2 eyes on everything, because when you're in a flurry or in the headspace of doing something, you can miss something. So just double checking each other, having roles and understanding responsibilities just makes it go that much faster. And there's no argument of, well, I thought you were going to do this. No, I thought you were going to do this. So highly recommend that. We will link our checklist that we have created below for setup and takedown, and you can do with it as you wish. It's completely free. Number 7 is probably something that maybe I feel a little bit more, but a loneliness factor. When you're at home, you kind of have like maybe your own community or friend groups or family that you have around, and you know how far they are, and like you can see them and make plans with them. But on the road, it gets a little more challenging. There's a lot more logistics to navigate. You might have to drive your RV over to see people and then figure out the route along the way. So it does become a little bit of an extra complexity to the matter. So I think what we found is a good way to kind of combat that is creating travel anchors. So having points that we know we want to make it a point to see someone or travel to, and whether it's a life event or just meeting up with someone. A lot of our friends like to do outdoor activities too, or go see the world. So for example, we're going to meet my best friend in Joshua Tree for have a little Friendsgiving, and so we'll plan our route out to there. And then we're also trying to figure out a big ski trip with our friends from Boston, and then we'll be seeing Dan's dad in Grand Canyon in April. So mapping out, not necessarily mapping out points that we want to see, but mapping around kind of these anchor life points that we create has made it kind of combat that kind of like loneliness factor that at least I feel. And it's been good because part of the reason we did this too was to spend more time with family. So like we were able to go see both of our families over the summer. We got to spend a month at our family in New Hampshire, see Dan's sister, mom, dad, and then we saw my mom, dad, sister. And so it gave us that time to go see them and have that time with them, which is like really important and really special. So it can be lonely, I think, especially too. Van life has like a younger generational vibe, but there's definitely for RVing, it can be an older community, which the community is so amazing. The amount of amazing people that we've met has been incredible, and the learning experiences from other people that we've met has been amazing. So there's definitely an amazing community there. But I think for the younger generation, still missing kind of those really close-knit friend groups when you're on the road and just passing by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 8, things will inevitably break on your RV. You're going to have to be a part-time mechanic every once in a while. I know for us, our AC had a loose nut and bolt in it, and we had to reapply and add some screw sealant to make sure that it was tightened and in place. We've had water heater errors, we've had leaks, we've had screws just come out, and it's a search for where to put it. So you're going to learn a lot of things, learn a lot of mechanical things. I know our water pump just for a freshwater tank just stopped working. So part of it is you become part mechanic, because taking it into the RV dealer can be costly, and who knows if you'll get it back. Might sit there for months, and if you're full-time RVing, that's just not sustainable. So you will become a mechanic.
The majority of our issues were actually with the Airstream. We had to change a table legs, flip a breaker a few times, change a fuse, and then we also had some errors with our AC and power draws, as well as fuses in our water heater.
Number 9, moisture is your enemy. Any bad thing that could happen to an RV, obviously there's solutions, but water damage and mold accumulation is a fear you can have, because if that gets into your RV, it's just like a home, very hard to get rid of. So you'll be constantly combating moisture. You want to make sure you utilize your max air fans, or whatever fan you have when you are taking a shower, to make sure it has somewhere to escape. And then I don't know why they don't build these into RVs, but dehumidifiers. Even in Colorado, it's dry here. We have a dehumidifier because we just do not want water. It still accumulates water. Like, for example, it's been raining for 5 days straight, and this bad boy has accumulated some water. There's also some other methods, like little bead things that change color when they have water in there. We'll link those in here, but water, humidity is your enemy. Leaks, prevent them at all costs. So make sure you're sealing your roof, making sure you're preventing any leaks, and just double checking your seals everywhere. That's what we do like about Brinkley, is at least for the shower, it's a 1-unit item. So there's no seal places where water could get in and get stuck and create mold. So water, make sure that you're fighting against it and that you don't have moisture. Number 10 is most RV horror stories are preventable. So make sure that you do your research, and within your research comes new everyday tasks that prevent problems. So tire management, regulating your tire pressure, checking the heat of your tires, torquing your lug nuts, ensuring quarterly that your sealant is good for water leakage, sanitizing your freshwater tank, doing black water flush of your blackwater tank, all of these things, making sure you're sweeping off your leaf cover. A lot of horror stories can be preventable. Obviously, there's some that come down to manufacturing, but for the most part, you can prevent a lot of bad things going wrong by doing your research and having quarterly or every 6 months doing some kind of check that just prevent bad things from happening. Number 11 is power management. So you will have to manage your power, and your whole electrical system in your RV is really important to run all of your appliances and whatnot. And we highly recommend a surge protector that also checks for EMS failures. So definitely look into that. And then you need to know what type of rig and power you're pulling. So 50 or 30 amp. Look into that. There are dog bone adapters. Not all of them work the same. And you will have to look into power management, understanding your batteries, like if you have AMG batteries or lithium.
AGMs are sealed lead acid, reliable but limited. They can't drop below 50% and don't recharge well from solar. Lithium costs more but can be drained to zero, recharge faster, and are great paired with solar. You will need a heater box for temperatures below 40. Battery readings on rigs can vary. For our Airstream, it used voltage, so 13.6 volts was full for lithium and 12 volts was empty for lithium. AGM is a max of 12.8 volts and 11.8 for empty. Our Brinkley had a digital monitoring system that worked off of thirds, making it easy to track. And then for flexibility, we also have a Jackery power station, which is perfect for charging without needing to use the inverter or pull from batteries on the unit. And then we also had a Predator generator from Harbor Freight. It's quiet, fuel efficient, and comparable to the Honda and a fraction of the cost.
You have to understand pulls from your solar panels, how much solar panel you should have. If you have an inverter, how much power you need to power certain items, like not all inverters can power an AC or a microwave. They get routed different ways. So it's a lot of learning for electrical and managing your power, but it's all doable. You'll also have to learn water discipline. So how much water to use if you have a shower in your RV, if you're doing your dishes, understanding how much water it's pulling, if you're pulling from your freshwater tank or your city water. It's a huge learning experience there. And understanding how quickly your tanks can fill up. Every RV has a different size tank and therefore can deal with a certain amount of water. So understanding that will help you a lot, especially if you're planning to boondock, which means that you're only utilizing what you have on the rig. So how much your freshwater tank holds and then how much your gray and blacks hold. So for us, we've upgraded a few times and therefore we've constantly upgraded our tank sizes. And we also added the addition of a dishwasher, which has an eco mode feature for saving water. And to be honest, I think that has saved more water than us trying to be efficient doing our own dishes, saving water. So water discipline. Number 13 is be aware of odors. They do happen. It is part of RVing. You will have to use the dump station and you will have to clean it regularly. It's not as scary as it seems once you get the hang of it. Wear gloves. Just be aware that things get smelly. You have to do your dishes really frequently. You have to make sure you're flushing your black tank, and you can use cleaners like these, the ones from Camco, and then there's also Pure Power Blue, which we use. So odors happen. Number 13.
Number 14 is know your rig dimensions. So know your height, your length, and know your weight capacity. So it's very important for safety purposes and for driving to know all the lengths of your rig and dimensions. For instance, knowing if there's bridges coming up or tight curves. We like to use our VLife for an app to help us figure out the routes to take based on the dimensions of our rig. And then we also keep in mind our payload and towing capacity. So there's your GVWR weight, which you need to pay attention to. And then just as important is your payload. So Dan could probably touch on the payload portion, but we'll touch on this in a different video. But we went through a little bit of a headache with payload recently, so.
Attention to your payload. We're not experts by any means, but we did our due diligence, especially when we're looking at different trailers. And, if you have a lot of weight in the back, and the people in the truck and your dogs and your gear, it all goes towards that payload. So you want to make sure that you have the right rig for what you're towing. If you got a pull trailer, if you got a fifth wheel, if you got accessories on your car, you got to kind of think of it all. Last thing you want to happen is potentially get in an accident if you're way over your payload. I think I read online that you can get in some pretty big trouble for that. So we always like to stay on the cautious side and make sure that we got plenty of extra payload and that we're not exceeding hopefully anything. But yeah.
It can damage suspension, and obviously for safety purposes, for braking and whatnot, it's just important that you don't exceed that. And when we were going through all the motions of switching our trailer and then changing our tow vehicle, honestly, the biggest hindrance in what our options were was payload capacity. So definitely a big point, and we'll talk on it in a different video, but we ended up having something called a D-rated truck, which
basically significantly downgrades your payload capacity. So just pay attention to that because it's important. So 14, dimensions of your rig and your length, and then your weight capacity and payload. Important for safety and is a non-negotiable. So number 15 is mail and packages. Don't forget about this. Don't skip on this, especially if you're going for longer than a month. If you're going for under a month, you can always hold your mail and have it either picked up or sent to your permanent residence. If you're going full time and not going to have a permanent residence, you'll need to look into RV services that set up a domicile. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but basically they set up an address for you through their services that you pay for monthly, and you get mail that gets scanned into an app. You can look at it, decide what you want sent to you, what you want shredded, what you want opened. And so the ones that we specifically looked at were iPostal 1 and then Escapees. And there's other versions like Traveling Mailbox. Just do your due diligence, look what works for you. We didn't need an address to be given to us. We still are using our other address for tax purposes, and we do stay there for a portion of the year, just checking in on our Airbnb. So for that, we used iPostal 1. We can't fully speak to it because we just got started with it. We did the holding of mail at USPS for a bit while we were checking in on our Airbnb property. And then for packages, Amazon's great because you can send packages to other addresses, including UPS. If you do UPS, typically there is a $10 pickup fee, so make sure you're either doing in bulk or there's no other option. Actually, a lot of campgrounds allow you to send packages. You'll just have to check with them and make sure what other additional information you should put on there, like if you should put your site number. And then for UPS, I'd recommend calling UPS because we've actually had UPS addresses that had a building number, but it wasn't on their Google Map search or website. So we had to call and get the building number. Otherwise, our packages would not be able to be delivered and be sent back to the sender. So mail, don't skip on that. It's a very important aspect and could be a little stressful if you don't get it figured out. Number 16 is planning your travel days smart, being aware of weather, wind, and having backup plans. So make sure that you're in the know about weather and where you go. That's really important for RVing. And then also having an awareness of seasonal changes and natural disasters and whatnot. So when we plan, making sure if we're driving through the middle of the country during tornado season, we're checking our maps and what's going on in the country. And then maybe even like California with the fires, and then being aware of rainy seasons with the flooding. And so just making sure you're in the know about weather because it matters, and being able to be flexible in your route and decisions and planning. So a lot of times we'll go on the cusp of prime season or cusp of end of the season just to miss some of these natural weather disasters that typically happen. And honestly, that's our best way to experience places for the most part, is when it's just past peak or right before. And then also another thing is having backup plans. So when we do travel, we'll think of multiple routes that we can go, use apps like RV Life, which Dan found, and then we'll have a plan B in case we need to. And that's also why we like to stay at Harvest Host when we're en route, because typically there's 24-hour cancellation policy, and they can be really accommodating and understanding when maybe something puts you off your way or if something happens and you can't make it there. So that's what we like to do for that one. So be aware of weather and be aware of wind and have a backup plan. So number 17 is kind of a reminder to slow down or formulate what works for you and your travel schedule. So you'll hear a lot of people that RV, the typical rule is 2-2-2. So not going over 200 miles in a day, getting there before 2 p.m., and staying longer than 2 days. But everyone's kind of works differently, and every plan fits differently for each person. So figure out what works for you. And for us, like, what would you say?
I'd say that we usually will try to not drive more than 4 hours on a given day. We'll usually save the weekends for our driving. We usually check out of somewhere on Saturday around 11 o'clock, which is pretty standard. Drive for 4 hours, maybe 5 if we have a long ways to go. Stay at a harvest house if it's on like a Saturday night, and try and hit the road early on Sunday to get to our destination right around the available check-in time, so we have at least part of the weekend to enjoy it, rather than just getting there late and then hopping right into the work week the following day. So yeah, generally we'll stay a week or two at a destination besides the weekend traveling where it might be a night or so. But yes, whatever works best for you. I think just staying somewhere for a couple weeks, taking a weekend to travel is the best way that fits our schedule.
Yeah. And I think we try not to overextend ourselves going like back to back for, like, say we travel 2 days in a row, Saturday, Sunday, for 4 or 5 hours. We try not to do the same thing the following weekend. Sometimes it does happen, but that tends to make us a little bit tired, and we lose some time on the weekend for exploring. So yeah, Dan hit the nail on the head, but literally just test things out, find what works for you. Not everyone follows the 2-2-2 rule, but make sure you slow down and do what makes you feel good in your lifestyle of RVing. So number 18 on our list is prioritize your furry friends, or your dogs or your cats, whoever you have on the road trip and RV life with you. They're family and they're really important. And being in an RV, I know we went from having a yard, so they were able to go through a doggy door and just go out whenever they please. Now it's much more of a conscious thing to get their energy out and make sure that they're living a comfortable life as well. And so anytime we're going places, we always make sure that if we're visiting national parks and going on hikes, we'll make sure that we bring them on a hike, or we go to a dog park, get their energy out, make sure they're going out to go to the bathroom multiple times a day and going for walks so they're not all cooped up. If we're out on adventures, not surpassing really 5 or 6 hours, and if we do, we look for doggy daycares or things like that to make sure that their quality of life is great as well as ours. I definitely do think they've been happier RVing, just because it has pushed us to take them on walks more, get them out more, visit more places, dog parks, all of that. So that is a good portion of it. Just make sure you are prioritizing them. And like for car rides, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if I had it my way, I would take them absolutely everywhere with us, 24/7. But for our longer trips, we'll try and I think drive maybe a couple hours, let them go potty. I know like Loves, they typically have little dog areas, so we'll try to let them off leash there, at least to go to the bathroom. So we try to, before we take off, take them for a long walk, get them some exercise. Once we get to where we're going, same thing. And then while we're on a longer trip, stop in every couple hours, let them go to the bathroom.
Yep. And we'll like research dog parks along the way. If we're going to stop for food, it's normally a combo that we can do. So it's normally works out pretty well, especially at Love's. If we're stopping for gas, there's a dog park. Dan pumps the gas. I take the boys for a little walker to go in the dog park. But it's a win-win. And that's part of the reason we started RVing, was to take them everywhere with us. And so we are really trying to live to have a better life for them and for us. So obviously we have to prioritize them. 19 is organization. So at first you're going to feel very scattered, or try and jam all your things into the RV. And size does matter. Different RVs have different storage capacities and different means of storing things. Don't stress out at first, especially if you're full timing and just jamming everything you own that you think you want to bring into it, it's going to feel messy at first. It takes time to get organized and make it feel like a usable space. So for us, the Container Store became our best friend because we quickly learned RVing. Putting things in container, even while they're in a cabinet, avoids disaster. So if you don't want the bumpiness of things falling out, we basically have almost everything in a container, including in the fridge, so that when you open it after you get off the road, you don't have sauce cans falling out and scaring you or spilling all over the floor. So Container Store, we even put our clothes that are in things in containers so we can easily pull them out, look through them, and just put them back. So Container Store, measure twice to buy once. We've definitely gone back to the store multiple times for containers that did not fit. And so organization takes time. You're going to realize on the road what you use and what you don't use. Be okay with getting rid of things and letting things go, taking on a minimalistic lifestyle to an extent. Don't get stressed out or frazzled by all the stuff at first. Number 20 is not every RV park or place that you visit is going to match your expectations. There is going to be days where things don't work out, weather doesn't work out, or you get to the location and it is not what you expected. It's okay. It's going to happen. We went to plan to stay in Salt Lake City, stay at a KOA, a lot of good reviews, a lot of photos that looked like it was a great place to stay. We got there, it was in an unfavorable neighborhood. They told us that they wouldn't really hang outside, lock everything up, and we just had to understand, like, this isn't how, it's not going to be perfect every time. You're not going to get the dream RV park every time. It's just not. So for that situation, we ended up biting the bullet and being flexible and moving on. And we went to an RV park in Park City, and it then became hands down one of the best RV parks we've been to. So not everything is going to match your vision, and that's part of it. That's okay. So don't be so set on your expectations.
Also, be aware things will go wrong. Things will not go to plan. This might be a PSA for our Airstream RVers, but you can lock yourself out. We had an incident where a friend put their purse on our thing. It switched our lock, and we closed it, and our dogs were inside, and it locked. Luckily, our front window hatch was partly open, so we made the executive decision, instead of paying $500 for a locksmith to come, to just cut our mesh bug screen. And then I just climbed through the front window and unlocked it. But here's a PSA, you can get locked out of your Airstream, and it happens, but this is just a sign that things will happen, things won't go to plan. Go with the flow, learn from your mistakes, and move on.
So number 20, not everything's going to match the fantasy. So yeah, those are our top 20 kind of tips or learning reality checks that we learned while on the road and full-time RVing so far. It's been the best experience we've ever done.
Yeah, I would agree. I would imagine that after a year, we're probably going to have another list of 20 things because we're just continuously learning. I think, like our intro says, we're a couple RV newbies, and we learn something new pretty much every day. We learn something new from the people that park next to us at RV parks or people we meet on the road. But we hope that these tips helped you. We hope that you've learned something. And if you're thinking about getting into RV life, keep all of these things in mind, because there's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be a lot of amazing times, but you just got to go with the flow, roll with the punches, and it's going to be an amazing experience. It's going to take you to a lot of beautiful places.
Yep, highs and lows, and it's probably going to be the most rewarding experience that you've ever done.
Yeah, like Lynn said, to us, it's one of the most fulfilling things we've done. And now we're going to continue to do it.
Yeah. And I think like looking at other people, I know how we started was we would look at people and be like, oh, how lucky they are that they travel all the time. How lucky they are that they get to do that, or they have the ability to do that. You can make your own life journey. So we stopped saying how lucky they were, and we were like, let's figure out how to do this. And there's some complexities to it, but at the end of the day, you can create the life that you want, and everyone's looks different. Everyone's RV experience looks different, but just figure out what works for you. Hopefully this helps, and happy travels.
Happy travels.
Yeah.